But I don't know, like, I mean, there are certain movies out there that I think could benefit from 3D upgrades, but like, Clash of the Titans didn't, like, there was no reason for it.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really have the sense of depth that you need for 3D. I mean, there were a couple of scenes where it kind of worked, but only kind of. Like, I don't know, I saw the fifth Harry Potter movie. They had a scene where they did the 3D upgrade. It was the fight at the Ministry at the end of the movie, and I mean, it worked in that it was in 3D, but it didn't really need to be there. That said, I'm probably going to see the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in 3D because it was designed for 3D. That the last battle they shot for 3D, whereas the Deathly Hallows Part 1 they were going to do a 3D conversion, and eventually they put a stop to it because it was unnecessary and too time-consuming.
Yeah. Personally, 3D for me has always been kind of like, it's been something like for me, it's been something that's been like every now and then, you know, in moderation. Like, it's, you know, you see a movie, like every fifth or sixth movie or seventh movie can be 3D. But when Avatar came out, I was just like, you know what, I don't want every single movie that, you know, in the next 2 years later, everything in 2011 or 2012 to be 3D. I just think that, because then I think what ultimately is going to happen is that, I don't know, the movies will just start getting even, I don't know how they could be worse anyway. But
I like movies,
theoretically, yeah, well, yeah. That's a whole nother video. But, I don't know, I just think that there'd be a, you know, the content would just, I think, get worse at a quicker pace. I don't know. I mean, if everything was 3D, I'm very... Go ahead.
I mean, 3D only works for a very specific genre. Really,
Yeah.
it's the action, sci-fi, and I suppose if you want to go there, horror genre. The horror movies have embraced it since the 50s, but like, that's only such a small collection of all the movies that are ultimately made. Like, what are you going to do, like a Judd Apatow comedy in 3D? Like, Knocked Up 2 or Knocked Up Again? Are you going to like make that in 3D? What would the purpose of a 3D movie like that be? Like, so I think that it's going to be a fad in that most movies out there don't lend themselves to be 3D. I mean, there are certain ones out there that are not like the action horror sci-fi movies. Like, I'm sure you could possibly do with a crime drama, something LA Confidential-esque, and get away with it. But on the whole, it's not going to pan out.
Well, basically, I'm kind of glad things turned the way they did, and that the majority of, because the 3D movies in theaters now are conversions, because that's going to basically ultimately kill 3D, or at least not kill it maybe so much as stop it from completely taking over, because you know, people now, if you look on blogs and websites and stuff, I mean, you know, people know stuff's converted, and they just rather go, you know, pay less money and see the 2D version anyway.
Roger Ebert has a whole essay about the dimming of film, and he takes down and he talks a lot about digital projectors and how he doesn't like them, but he also talks about the 3D, and he's absolutely right. 3D completely dims the screen. I've seen movies in 3D and then seen the 2D version afterwards, and it makes a hell of a difference. Like, how dark the screen is when you are watching it in 3D, and there are certain movies out there, like, that's one of the things I'm kind of worried about for Deathly Hallows Part 2, is that you see all the previews for that, it's a very dark movie. I mean, it takes place at, like, twilight.
On top of that, they're going to throw 3D.
Yeah, then it's going to be 3D, it's going to be like, what am I looking at?
At least I can hear it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Playing.
So, like, there are certain things, like, Thor, I think, would have been, I didn't see it in 3D, that one would have been alright. It predominantly takes place in the daylight, so even if it was dimmer, it wouldn't be that noticeable. But, like, the Star Wars conversions, those are pretty black movies, all the way through. Except for the prequels, I'll give them the prequels are kind of brighter, those ones might work a little better. But, like, A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back are very dark. I don't know how that's going to look. You're going to lose just as much as you're going to gain from seeing it in, like, 3D. And plus 2D, like, you get 2D done well Like, if you get a good cinematographer, it's going to look 3D regardless. Like, I mean, you're looking at us right now. Can you tell that back there is back there? Like, do you need that, us popping out at you to understand that we are, like to get a sense of 3D? Like, depth is depth. You're going to get it no matter what.
Yeah, we're here. We don't have to be here in 3D.
Yeah, and every 30 years it seems there's a push for 3D. Like, it started in the 50s as far as I know with, like, Creature of the Black Lagoon. A lot of the monster movies from then were shot in 3D. And these are movies that now we only watch in 2D, and that's probably for a reason. Then you get, like, the 80s, they tried to do it again with, like, Friday the 13th 3D, Jaws 3D. Things like that.
Amityville 3D.
Amityville 3D. Any movie that had a 3 in it, they were just going to add the D just to be safe.
Yeah.
But now, it's again, 30 years since the 80s, and you're getting the next resurgence.
Of 3D, yeah.
3D is going to last about 5 years like always, and it's going to fall off. It started in 07 to my knowledge, where like a lot of movies started doing it the same time around Beowulf, and then it really took off after Avatar.
Yeah, because the movie was doing great, and I think that a lot of money people were at the studios were like, well, gosh, maybe it's because it's 3D, you know, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know why it did so good, but it wasn't for 3D.
Well, 3D helped it with money.
Yeah,
so
right.
That is what ultimately it did help it.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess I pretty much said all I had to say, or all I got to say about 3D. I mean, what was really cool, every time a big movie director like J.J. Abrams comes out with a movie that's 2D, it's just like, yeah, you know, you don't have to go 3D. It can still be a, you know.
Chris Nolan was so hardcore against turning Inception 3D, and I'm so glad that movie probably would have looked great in 3D, but I'm so glad he didn't, because that is a marvelous movie to look at regardless. Like, you don't need the 3D to feel 3D in that movie. Like, there's a sense in that movie that, like, when the people are, like, kind of falling, you feel like you're falling with them. That's good filmmaking. You get a good filmmaker, you're going to feel the 3D anyway. You don't need to have glasses. And until they get, like, 3D contacts, I wear glasses anyway, so I have to wear 2 sets, and I look like a fool.
4-eyed.
Yeah, I'm actually 4-eyed.
So, but yeah, that's my take on 3D, and his take on 3D, and we just thought we'd throw that out there, seeing as how 3D is like, I don't know, 1.5 years old, or at least the post-Avatar thing, and I was so shocked to see so much being converted, but I thought I wanted to just say something about it.
I wonder what Robert Rodriguez is going to do, because he's been doing 3D movies for ages. He's like with the Spy Kids movies. Spy Kids 3D, again 3. That one was 3D, and then he did Shark Boy and Lava Girl. That was also 3D. He did the red and blue glasses, and those, like, I'm glad we've stepped away from that kind of 3D. I like the clear 3D. But those movies didn't really work too well. He has the 4th Spy Kids movie. I saw the preview for it yesterday. And it actually looks good, I will say. But I'm curious how the 3D is. Is he going to do the red and blue, or is he going to do the new Avatar, like, clear glasses 3D?
Well, I didn't think they did red and blue in the theater anymore.
I don't know. I like the Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Spy Kids were the red and blue.
In the theater?
In the theater. And it looks like everything was like either... Like,
holy crap, sitting through a whole movie?
Yeah, everything was like violet color.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, I would imagine that it should be the clear glasses. I mean, I can't imagine any... Yeah.
Anyway,
we're probably way past 15 minutes, but we can cut it into parts.
We'll give it to you in 3 parts. That way you earn each D.
Yeah, there you go. I'm Nate, and he's
Matt.
Catch you later.